Welcome back to the channel, folks. Urban Gardner DC here. My name is Chris, and in this video I wanted to talk to you about Rootbound. Right, look at the roots. It's a beautiful, two beautiful tomatoes that were seed started, direct sown into these plastic cups using the same 2-cup method. Right, water in the bottom, punch holes in the top cup. Drop the seeds in, put them under some light, keep them under a nice temperature. And as you see, we have there's 2 in each of these, right? So we have 12 tomatoes here. This is the Better Boy variety. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Better Boy. I've heard it mentioned as part of the Big Boy family. It is a hybrid tomato, and these seeds, when these seeds come in the seed packs, there's actually like a coating around them. So I'm not going to say they're genetically modified because it says non-GMO, but I'll tell you, I'll flash up on the screen here what they actually look like when they're ripe and you cut them open. They are probably flavor profile. Probably one of the best flavors in a tomato that I personally have consumed over the years. My father actually introduced me to this variety. I've tried them now for, I guess, about 5 years. I do like some of the cherries. I'm not a big fan of those like super big, whatever they're called, whatever the name is, I'll flash it up. But you have those super-sized tomatoes. Some of them are like a purple variety. I haven't found the flavor. And some of those you'll get real tough skin, right? And I don't like the tough skin per se. But these Better Boys have a profound flavor profile. Obviously, as you guys know, following this channel here, we're all in the gardening community or horticulture community. And we do understand the difference between grown at home, buying from the farmer's market, which is wonderful, and then the junk that you get at the grocery store that was grown in, some warehouse under fake light and a whole lot of fertilizer, and they just don't taste like anything. So to get these germinated, I'm going to use, as you all know, my 2-cup system. We have one 18-ounce cup, solid cup. Identical 18-ounce cup, but we cut the holes in the bottom, right? Because I like to underwater, right? That really, really promotes the root growth. And with tomatoes, they really need that because tomatoes, they can actually they're one of few vegetables that it's actually promoted that you bury them as far down as possible. I mean, I've seen people bury a full tomato down to just the top set of leaves. They'll peel off all the bottom ones, like similar to this one here that's much more mature. They would break all of these branches off probably up to about here, so then you would only be stuck with just this top, and they would bury that tomato deep in the ground. Because if you look at the fibers on the side of a tomato, I think you can see it there, but if you look at the fibers, they actually have a taproot that goes outwards. So a tomato plant loves to be buried deep in the soil to get those taproots going. So I'm just going to start off with some generic potting mix. I'm going to fill it about that far, tap it down, and then I actually like to bury a little hole because that's where I'm going to drop those seedlings in. And we're going to grab our first tomato here. Let's get that bottom cup off, and if you see right there, right, see it hanging, that's those tap roots that the tomato loves to bury itself in the soil. And these are root bound, no doubt about it. These tomatoes are almost to the point where it's gonna be starving for nutrients, and I have not fertilized these at all. So now we have this big root ball of a tomato plant, and then I'm going to gently break these apart from the bottom. I'm going to just kind of stir the roots up a little bit, because I'm going to take, since we had 2 in each of these small pots, I'm going to break these apart because they're at a point now where they're going to need every ounce of space in that cup. So now I have those evenly broken off. Just, you know, being a little gingerly with the roots. Tomatoes are extremely hardy, but you don't want to rip it apart, right? So I'm going to stuff this guy down in here. I got them in there right up to those right up to those bottom leaves. And I'm going to just by hand sprinkle that soil in all the way up to the rim of this cup. Get that in there, and probably 1 or 2 more handfuls. Get that in there. You know, I'm doing this on a almost like a plastisol type surface, just a plastic board, so it's going to be easy to wipe all this stuff clean. All right, so now we're planted, right? Got it right up to those bottom roots. And I'm going to take my solid cup, the bottom cup, and I've already mixed up a solution here of water-soluble fertilizer. And I like, just to start, right, I like to fill it up. Let me set that down. I'd like to fill it up to about here. So about 1 inch, right? And now I'm not going to leave all that water in there, but I'm going to allow that water to absorb. So watch when I put it in there. It doesn't fall down, right, initially. It's now absorbing through those holes in the bottom of the cup. And what's going to happen is this potting mix, it's a combination of cocoa coir, seed pellets, fertilizer, but it's a good mix. It's just a generic potting mix. And now you see it set down there. Now what's going to happen, I'm going to start on the next one. What's going to happen is you're going to feel how heavy this starts to become. Because what's happening is that water through those holes in the bottom, that water is going to absorb up through that potting mix. And those roots from that tomato seedling that we just planted, those roots are going to feel that moisture down at their toes, and they're going to shoot straight down, finding that water source. And that's why in these clear cups, as we saw, those roots found those holes in the bottom, right, and shoot out. So they're extremely hardy at this stage. They're looking for nutrients. That's why I like to put a diluted amount of plant food. I'm actually using, I don't promote any brand, but I found this to be very, very gentle on it. And it's just a Miracle-Gro plant food. And this one is for bountiful vegetables, and it says tomato plant food. I don't use it because it says tomato. If you look at the NP and K on it, it is a 575. So nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. It's a level playing field. If you put in too much nitrogen right now, you're going to be stuck with a big leafy green plant with very little fruit, because they need some nitrogen, not too much nitrogen. So that 575 is a pretty balanced low level. If you see here, if I had put this as a full on mix, I believe it was 1 cup per gallon, and this is only a liter bottle. So in this Miracle-Gro Miracle-Gro plant food, they have a small spoon, and the opposite side of the spoon is a larger spoon. So I took the small spoon and I just put 2 small spoonfuls into that liter bottle, which is going to be more than plenty. Now we have the second tomato here. Let's just kind of shake off the roots a little bit and get this guy stuffed down in there as well. You know, put a little pressure when you're putting it in these cups, because you want that root ball to form. because in these cups, that tomato plant is going to almost be ready to be sown directly into the soil in about a month, or maybe about 6 weeks now. But I'll show you again the larger ones, the same Better Boy variety. The other ones that I have, I germinated those about a week before these. And you can see, because I gave them all that root space, let me grab one. Because I gave them that extra root space, one of these little guys, 2 weeks later, becomes this big guy, right? And this guy is going to be, it's going to be a water hog, so I'm actually going to transplant this into just one size larger container. I'll do a video about that so you can see that as well. And then the next size up from this 18-ounce cup, it's going to go into a 2.5 quart or 3 quart pot, the black pot that you got to get at your local nursery or wherever. And I reuse and recycle those every single year. But yeah, at this point, this plant, it's going to starve itself. I'm sure it's root bound already, but it's going to take so much water, and it's not getting any nutrients because there's not enough soil, there's not enough plant food. The plant is at a point now, if the weather called for it, I would feel 100% comfortable putting this plant right into the garden and let it grow. But it's mid-March here in Washington, D.C. area, too early. We still have probably at least 4 or 5 more weeks of potential frost. And if you know, you know. If a tomato's out in the cold and gets a frost on it, you're going to have a very slim chance of it bearing fruit. It is just going to stunt the plant so fast by getting hit by a freeze or a frost that early in the season. So, all right, same thing. The second plant, I watered it up right there about 1 inch. I'm going to just drop it in the water, and you're going to see it's not going to sink immediately. It's got 3 1/4-inch holes in the bottom, but it's going to absorb straight into that root system, and that's what you want. I don't know if you can tell on this video, but these Better Boys almost have a reddish hue under them, or like a purplish or reddish hue under the leaves. It's a very unique tomato variety that, as I mentioned, I really do like. So I have a whole bunch more of these to go. I'm gonna get all these planted and transferred into these red party cups. So guys, once again, I do appreciate the comments. I'm new on YouTube, new to the gardening community online and the social media world. And I appreciate it. I've gotten a lot of great suggestions and comments, and I want you guys, to do the same. If you have comments, questions, thoughts, ideas, anything, post them down below in the comments. Make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel actually as well, because it really, really will help the algorithms here where I can get this information out to as many people to understand how gardening works in my climate here in Zone 7 in the Washington, D.C. area. So if you do that for me, that would be awesome. And I will talk to you guys on the next one.